Hi, I'm Angela Nicholson, and in this tutorial I'm going to take a look at some of the ways that you can correct the faults created by lenses so that you can turn an image like this one into one like this. Let's start by looking at this image in Camera Raw. Now you can see straight away there's a dramatic bending or distortion of the horizon here, and that's because it's shot with a 15mm fisheye lens. If we zoom in to 100%, we can also see another problem. Just scroll across, see along this bright edge here, you can see there's some chromatic aberration. Let's just zoom in a little bit further. You can see a sort of pinky red there, and then some cyany green distortion, and there's even a little bit of chromatic aberration along that highlight in the sea there. A little bit of cyan on the boat. Now you don't necessarily see this straight away on screen if we just put it fit to view, but that's the sort of thing that will leap out at you in a print. So it's important that we address it. So let's move from the basics section in Camera Raw to the lens correction area. Now under Profile, we've got the option to apply automatic corrections, and all you need to do is to put a tick in the box by Enable Lens Profile Corrections, and you'll see straight away that the correct profile is installed. The lens make was Canon, it's a 50mm lens, and it was shot on the 5D Mark II. You can see straight away that the horizon has straightened out, and altogether the image looks corrected. As well as the distortion being corrected, the vignetting or corner shading has been corrected. If I just uncheck, you can see that these figures go from, well, blank to 95 for the distortion and 56 for the vignetting. If I just move vignetting figure, you can see that those corners up here particularly being noticeable are getting lighter and lighter, or I can put them back the other way and they get a little darker. But the automatic setting was to 56, so I was just going to leave it there for now. Now let's uncheck this box and have a look at the colour corrections. If we just zoom in over where we saw some chromatic aberration, you need to go into at least 100%, sometimes 200. And then we can put a tick in this box to remove chromatic aberration. As you can see, if I just turn it off again, you can see that green appearing and now disappearing. And in many instances, that's all you actually need to do to correct chromatic aberration. It's done a pretty good job here. But in some instances, it might be necessary to adjust these values, the purple amount and the green amount. Usually you only need very low figures. If I just knock the green back and the purple back, we might see some chromatic aberration reappearing. This image doesn't actually suffer too badly from chromatic aberration. It's not too much of a problem, but you just generally only need to push it to 1 or 2, maybe a little higher, to adjust the issue. Just scroll around the image, checking for more problems. And you can adjust the colour that's tackled with this hue slider. So if, for example, there was more problem with purple or blue, we would just slide it over this way. But as the problem we saw was more sort of pinky and magenta, we're going to keep it over in that direction. And with the green slider, we can take it more over to the green, and we can just see here there's a little bit of green chromatic aberration. If I push the slider over, you can see it's tackling the green. If I take it back to the cyan, that green fringing is just appearing a little bit more. So all you need to do is just scroll around the image, looking at the edges, particularly the edges along strong contrasting areas. Trees against a bright sky can be a particular issue. And just check that the colour's gone. You can see it's leaving a little bit of a pale halo behind, but it doesn't stand out nearly so much as a bright colour would. So I'm quite happy with that. Now let's refit the image back in the view. There we go. And take a look at the options under the manual tab. And this is where we can correct the distortion if there isn't a profile for the lens. Or perhaps we just want to tweak it slightly. Now, because this lens exhibits such dramatic distortion, it's not actually possible to completely correct the distortion that we're seeing. So it's just as well actually that there is a correction profile available. You can see I can make it really dramatic if I wanted to, if you were looking for a distorted edge to the image. That's more or less as it was when it was imported, and that's as far as we can push the correction using these manual controls. There's another option here to adjust the vignetting. So taking it that way darkens it, while the other way to the right lightens it. Now sometimes vignetting is a benefit to an image. It can help focus attention on the main subject. If I put the amount very low, so we've got the darkest possible corners, you can see the effect of adjusting the midpoint. Push it to the right, the midpoint's very big. If I push it to the left, the midpoint's quite small, so you get more of a dramatic look to the image. So let's just put that back where it looks a bit better, I think. So we've seen with this image that by far the best result is produced by using a profile which applies automatic corrections. These profiles are installed automatically, but if there isn't one available for your lens, you can either download one that's been created by another user, or you can actually go through a process of creating your own profile. But fortunately there are a lot of profiles available. If we just take a look here at this drop down list, you can see there's plenty available for all sorts of different lenses, mainly concentrating, as we said here, on the top end L lenses, because obviously those are the ones that you most want to correct. But there are still some available for compact cameras. So just go back to 15mm. And there we go. I've opened the image without applying any of the lens corrections available in Camera Raw, and that's because it's also possible to correct the image using a filter. Now, first of all though, I'm going to convert it to a smart object because that enables me to revisit the settings. So the first thing to do is to select Convert for Smart Filters and just select OK there. And now we go to Filter and down to Lens Correction. And here's the preview. Now this time if I put a tick in the geometric distortion correction, you noticed it's overcompensating for that banana shaped horizon. It's bending it the other way. And this is a bit odd because we've got the correct lens profile automatically selected. But if I go to custom, it's just a question of straightening that horizon up using the distortion control. You can just do it by eye. It can be also useful to turn the grid on so you can just see that you've got something to match up, and you can just drag that up and down. So that looks about right. I'll just turn that off again with this select option there, Show Grid. Another way to correct it is to check on this box here, and then you can just click an area and drag up and down.